Welcome back, everybody. This is the Sports File, a 35-year reboot, episode number 22, and this is Sean Barkley, your host. Today's episode, we're kind of in the doldrums of just football's in the off season. Soccer's been on an international break. We've got hockey and basketball that are kind of winding down their seasons, marching towards the playoffs. Baseball's just starting up. The only kind of sort of sports that are kind of really going on right now are golf. And with that, I figured what I would do is I've been an avid golfer since I was in college when I picked it up with my dad. And so I wanted to kind of talk through it, make more of a fun episode. So topic number one will be about my top 5 favorite golf courses of all time. From there, topic number 2, I think we'll talk a little bit more about baseball. I've really had this resurgence towards baseball. It started late last year through the playoffs, now into the springtime again. I played it as a kid. I played it all through high school, played on some traveling teams leading into college before I got hurt, which is why I switched over to golf. And so I've always had a great love for it, but I've really shown an interest in it, and I think it's super interesting what they're doing now with this quote-unquote torpedo bat and how they've changed the game up to speed it up as well. So I'll have some thoughts on that. And then the final topic will really be all about Tottenham Hotspur soccer as they restart their disappointing season. The only glimmer of hope we have is the Europa, so we'll touch briefly on that. So diving into topic number 1, it's my top 5 golf courses. So a little history, backstory here. Now, when we think about golf and me, golf is something I picked up when I was in college. I had just started in college. I was 18 years old. Originally wanted to play baseball for the school I went to. I went to a small school in Newport, Rhode Island called Salve Regina University. At the time, it was Salve Regina College. Really small school. I think we might have had 2,500 kids for an undergraduate degree. And I picked up golf because I could no longer play baseball. I had an issue with my knee, and it wasn't going to make sense anymore. And I figured, what am I trying to do here? I'd played it for a long time, all through high school. Played on some traveling teams around Metro Boston area, the greater Boston area. Every summer I would travel around on kind of the select team and play all through Massachusetts, and kind of had outlived it. So I switched over to golf. Picked it up really on a whim. I found out at Salve that you could walk onto the team. We were a small Division III school back then. I think 1989, 90. It was the springtime, so it would have been 1990. I sort of walked on. I had played a little bit before with my father when I was a kid, so I wasn't totally new to it, but I was by no means, great. And so I really liked it. I loved the part about best of it is that you want me to play golf. We can practice every day for free. After our classes, we go over and we play at a golf course, and we could literally play 9 or 18 holes, whatever we wanted, and just practice every single day. And then we would travel around New England to some of these tournaments. And I was fortunate enough that I made the team. Wasn't any good. The way college golf worked, I think it still works this way today too, is essentially your team can be, they'll play, say 10 players will go out on each team, and you take the top 5 scores with that. And essentially it's almost like a seeding chart too as well. So the player who's not the best on the team would be number 10, increasing all the way up to the top player who's number 1, right? And then you typically pair up against, so say you're going against another school, the number 1s would play each other, and then the number 2s would play each other, the 3s, the 4s, and the 5s, and those 5 people make up your score, combined score, and that's how you figure out who wins. So played a lot of golf in college, kept playing more after that, got the bug in the springtime, went home that summer, and I literally played every single day. I would get up really, really early with my dad. It's some of my best memories I've ever had out there. We would play 9 holes, pretty much at least 4. We never played on the weekends because my father hated the crowds and didn't really want to play 18 holes. We always played 9 holes, and we would play probably 4 to 5 times a week. At least 3, more than likely we played 4, and sometimes we would play 5. We would get up super early at the crack of dawn, literally. Daylight would just be rising up. It'd be at 5 a.m., 5:15. We would be on the golf course. They either put us off on the front or the backside, and we would play our 9 holes and go home. And then I would go work all day. And then I would typically either go to a golf range and hit balls, or I would maybe drive back over to the golf course and play some more. So when I went back to college my sophomore year, golf season was really, the main season was spring, but there was a fall, kind of not a preseason, but you know how they have in college spring football, similar. It was like a fall program of golf. There were no league ratings really. You just played in a bunch of tournaments. But when I went back in the fall, I improved from being that kid who was number 10 on the team. I had made it all the way up to number 5. And by the end of the fall season, I had made it up to number 3. So I really picked it up pretty easy. I've talked, some of my favorite golfer of all time to this day is Fred Couples, affectionately known as Freddie Boom Boom Couples. He's now 65. Check out his swing on YouTube. It's the most effortless swing, and he could just bomb it. And I really just tried to emulate him. I was a very visual learner. So when I learned how to play, I never really took lessons. I took a few. My father had one of the local pros give me a couple lessons, but I literally would buy back. I mean, this is how old I am. We had VHS tapes, and I would buy these golf instructional videos. Jack Nicklaus had one. Fred Couples had one, and he'd sit there in my parents' family room, and I'd watch it, and I would try to essentially emulate Fred Couples' swing. At that point. And then it evolved slightly, but I was very visual. If someone said, take the club back 8 inches and then turn your hips and let it come down. And when you come down in your follow through, you want to essentially follow the same path. I could do that pretty well. That was it. The way I learned was just watching it and trying to mimic it. And so that's where it really took off for me. Went on to play all 4 years in college. I made it up to the number 1 rank, played in a bunch of tournaments all through New England. We played all different types of schools in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. We played down in New York, went down to the Mid-Atlantic region as well. And since I was crazy enough, I ended up driving our little team van around too. So that's another fun fact, that I was driving around our golf team. Tons of memories, a blast, loved it. All right, get to our top 5 golf courses. Number 5, I'm going to go from 5 to 1. Number 5 is Green Valley Ranch Golf Course here in Denver, Colorado. Now, I have a friend who, his son is not a huge fan of Green Valley. I have grown to really appreciate Green Valley Ranch a lot. I actually think, in my opinion, it's one of the nicer public, semi-private golf courses in Denver itself. Some of our city courses are pretty nice. Like Welshire is a beautiful course. I love the layout. It's designed by the great Donald Ross, who's designed courses such as Pinehurst. But I really like Green Valley. The conditions of it are fantastic. They've got a great range. The layout suits my game really, really well. It's I would call it an approachable golf course. So it's got varying tee boxes, all the way up from someone who's just learning to someone who's really, 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 really good. That's the back tees. So I think they have 4 to 5 different tee boxes in total at Green Valley. Good combination of, some trees. The landscape's fairly pretty out there. It's way out near the airport, which isn't the nicest area of Denver, if we're being honest, but I think where this is located, they've done a good job of incorporating the natural landscape and almost like marshland that they have around there, that they've been able to incorporate it in. They've got some unique holes. 2 of the holes, one on the front, one on the back, have a tree. Essentially, it sits almost in the middle of the fairway. I find the greens there to be absolutely great. They always run very true. And one thing I like about it is their practice green. The speed that you'll get on that is the same speed that you'll get out on the course. Great layout. Like I said, it suits my game. I typically fade the ball a little bit, which is meaning I hit it from left to right slightly. Occasionally I'll draw it, but I really try to do it more of a fade. And the way the layout is for me, it puts me in a position where I can play pretty well. So number 5 for me is Green Valley Ranch Golf Course in Denver, Colorado. All right, number 4. This is a nostalgic one for me. This is Wanamatami. Say that fast. Wanamatami Golf Course in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. This is where I played for my college. This was our home course for the majority of tournaments. Love the layout. So Newport, Rhode Island is on an island, Aquatic Island. You've got Newport at the south end. You've got Middleton right in the middle, and then you have Portsmouth at the north end. So this is at the other end of the island, and it's right on the bay. It's windy as all get out, whether it's spring or fall. Fall's typically nicer. When we played in spring, it was brutal. I was telling my wife the other day how cold we used to get. We were out somewhere, and it so reminded me of it. It'd be cold. It'd be a little rainy. I mean, March is not the nicest weather in New England. Think overcast, rain, wind, cold, like in the 40s, maybe 50s. By the end of the golf season, it warmed up pretty decently, but it was still cold. But I love the layout. Another one, really, I think it's some of this is definitely, I played it a ton, and I know the layout really, really well. But the conditions were always great. The people that worked there were fantastic. A good combination of being right. Views are wonderful into the bay there. And then you also have, some decent amount of trees that were lined up. A very fair golf course. If you hit a good shot, you're not going to be penalized at Wanamatami. And so that's my number 4th favorite golf course. Number 3, Torrey Pines South in San Diego. This is where the pros play there every single year. I think this is the tournament that Tiger hosts now. I forget the actual sponsorship name, but it's Torrey Pines South, San Diego. You want views? This has got it. This is, I would probably say next to Pebble Beach. This is the number 2 views. Think the beautiful California landscape of really this famous where you'll hear people say the mountains meet the ocean. So you've got this dramatic landscape that's almost up on a cliff. You look over the cliff, and then you've got the beach down there with the water, and the golf course is all along that. Just breathtaking views. A lot of it is the views. Interestingly enough, Torrey Pines is a public golf course, and so you can go up there and make a tee time all you want. It used to be relatively affordable. I don't know what it is these days up there, but I played this when I was in my mid-20s. My wife and I were traveling through California kind of on a vacation, and I used to bring my golf clubs everywhere, and I ended up playing, and I absolutely loved it. Again, a lot of it is the views. The views were just spectacular, and the conditions, just a real tough golf course, hard, but again, fair too. I mean, if you hit a good shot, and it's almost not carnival golf. Carnival golf, when I say that, is you've got to aim to a spot and hit it. Not so here. I mean, they've done a good job with the length of it, where you might see waterway out there where a cliff is cutting in, and that would be out of bounds. If you hit it really well, you're not going to go in there. So a really, really beautiful golf course, and it's in San Diego, California, which is just a beautiful, beautiful city. Number 2, Newport Country Club in Newport, Rhode Island. Okay. Newport Country Club. I was fortunate to play on there my last year at Salve. This became essentially our de facto home course. We had historically played at Wanamatami, and then we played more and more at Newport. And by my last year, we were playing. I think we played, if I remember right, at least 80% of our home tournaments were at Newport. Super, super famous golf course. You've got, and super private. I mean, and this golf course in Newport, Rhode Island is one of the prettiest places in the country by far. It was out on the famous Ocean Drive, so you're literally, the golf courses, you're going out to meet the ocean. You play along the ocean, and then you come back in. Kind of more what's the right word for it? Think of a links style golf course for sure. It's more like links, which you hear links, that's like a St. Andrews, what you'll see over there. Similar to that. And when the wind was howling, that was a beast. Newport can be an absolute beast to play. But again, spectacular views, great conditions, private. You can drive by there. And it's one of these golf courses that you won't see anybody out there. It's like these people are members, but they're from all over the world that are members there, and it doesn't get a lot of play, which is why the conditions are always so great. So Newport Country Club is my second favorite. Number one, and this is me being a complete nostalgic merchant. I played it last summer again. I played this a couple years ago with my dad and my son Tyler. And I absolutely love this golf course. It's where I learned to play. I have a ton of memories there. And I still believe it's my favorite golf course that I've ever played on to this day. It is Pembroke Country Club in Pembroke, Massachusetts. Okay, so Massachusetts golf, the beauty of Massachusetts is tons of trees, woods, etc., right? And then obviously the ocean. Pembroke is inland, but you've got, and this golf course is carved out of the woods, essentially. So beautiful landscape. I mean, just tree lined, huge pine trees, huge maple trees, huge oak trees, just totally tree lined. Every fairway it's you're going to go into the woods if you miss it. Great placement of water, great sand traps. I mean, to this day, I can tell you every single hole, the par, how essentially, where I would hit it, how I would do. I think the world of this golf course. I played it last year with my sister and brother-in-law. We were back there, and me and my sister were saying a ton of memories playing with my dad there. That's one thing. And it's where he really taught, me golf a lot. He was really, I think when I said I was self-taught or I had a couple, he was the one who always would look in and say, oh, move your feet back, do this, do that. So my dad, did a lot more around helping me with my golf game than I think I ever gave him credit for. And I'm thankful for what he did. But we had a lot of memories. Me and my sister were talking about it. I still love it. I believe it's been bought, and which is too bad because it breaks my heart that I think they're gonna be building condominiums and a development in there now. And then they're also gonna kind of do some sort of a golf course in there, like whether it's 9 holes or whatnot. But I can't say enough good things about Pembroke. I think the beauty of it, being in the woods, you go over there at 5:30 in the morning. It is one of the prettiest places you'll see, with the trees, the grass. Conditions as of late aren't the best because I think it's been a little bit neglected, rightfully so, because they've sold it and they're like thinking, hey, well, this is, as we're going through approval process to build our new development, we'll keep running, but they're not really keeping it up. But it didn't matter. I mean, last summer when I played it, I love Pembroke Country Club. You can go up to their website to see their layout. I think, again, it's my number one. I think even I haven't had a chance to play at Pebble Beach yet. I plan on playing it here in the next couple years. I would love to play at St. Andrews. I still find it hard to believe that say a Pebble Beach is going to knock off my nostalgic Pembroke Country Club at number one. Pebble Beach may be my number two. I just can't ever see me removing Pembroke. It would probably break my heart. There's so much I love about that golf course. I love playing it. I love being there. If I had enough money and I was incredibly wealthy, I would 100% buy it. Pembroke Country Club, number one. Topic number two, baseball. All right. Talked a little bit how it was, I played it my whole life. I felt it always became a little painful to watch, if I'm being honest with you. It really got slow. Really, I think, it always was a tough watch, I think. I mean, it was always exciting in playoffs, but, July, 12th. No, July 12th on a Tuesday night. The thought of spending 3.5 hours at a ballpark on a summer night, just unless it's Coors Field out here in Denver, Colorado, which is just spectacular with their views. The product is terrible, but it's a great ballpark, but it's just, to sit through it. But the last couple of years, I think baseball has sort of reinvented itself in a lot of ways. I think it recognized a lot of this is if you look at the trends, lacrosse has become so huge, so kids aren't, I don't think, playing baseball like they used to. I think you can see that when you look at Major League Baseball, it's dominated by folks from like the Dominican Republic. See obviously the Japanese influence now with someone like Shohei Ohtani, etc. I think there were sports that were not as drawn. Kids were more drawn to other sports like a lacrosse or even soccer than they were so more with baseball. But they made some changes. I think baseball was trying to figure out how can we speed up this game. We recognize that a 3.5 hour game is kind of slow, especially when the game ends 1-0. Right? People want a little bit of action. They want to see it. Man, I think the baseball purist would jump down my head right now and say, "Oh, the game, it's this, it's the beauty of it, it's historical." I mean, baseball is one of those sports, right? Everybody looks back on baseball like all the time. They'll talk about Babe Ruth and the Chicago White Sox scandal. It's littered with history, right? The rivalry of Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire during the home run chase, right? They'll talk about the Yankees or the Red Sox breaking the curse, right? It loves to talk about its history. So the baseball purists, when you start seeing and you're introducing a pitch clock, so pitcher gets X amount of seconds before he's got to actually throw the pitch, right? I think it's 20 seconds, I believe, is what the pitch count is. And if there's a runner on base, it's reduced to like 18 seconds or something. It's helped immensely. And I could be off with those, but that's the general gist of the pitch count. Before, you could have a pitcher, they would show one, he'd be holding on to it for 2 minutes. And that's why these games dragged on. They did that. They did sort of like limiting how many times you can go to the bullpen. Another rule change, go to the bullpen per inning, I think has helped a ton. The bases, which the purists probably which they are, up in arms in a story. Oh man, why would they change the size of the baseball bag to be bigger? They wanted to create more stolen bases, more opportunities to get on base. So I hit a ball down the third base line, I'm running up, I can actually hit the bag faster, right, if it's bigger. To try to create some more action, more as a viewer of watching it, you want a product that's more exciting, right? Yes, no hitters can be exciting, but to get there, it's a long time, right? Really, a lot of people really want to see the offense, right? I love baseball early on. I think this whole thing over the weekend has been pretty funny. The torpedo bat. Essentially, there was this crazy MIT kid, who worked and applied some physics to the bat, and essentially the length of the bat is the same. He essentially is taking the weight where you think about the barrel of the bat. He's moved that barrel sort of down a little bit towards the label, that stamp of the label. And what's that done is it's created for some hitters, they're actually making better contact with the ball, right? And over the weekend, the Yankees, which have been using these torpedo bats, just absolutely exploded. They hit 15 home runs and scored 36 runs in just 3 games, right? Now people are saying, wait, what's up with these bats? They're totally legal for now. And again, I think it's great for the game. I think anything you can do to create action and even a little bit of controversy is good for the game to get people to kind of watch it. I think we're in an age where, watching, the Yankees obviously, and I think you're hard pressed not to mention the Dodgers right now. I mean, the Dodgers, they've already started 6-0. The Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, that team is absolutely loaded, right? You'd be hard pressed unless they suffer some major injuries, why they wouldn't win the World Series again. And it's always great to see the Dodgers, and I love watching Shohei Ohtani, what he's done for Major League Baseball, the influence, knowing that flights, he's from Japan, the flights from coming in from Japan to LA, they're like essentially packed. The hotels are creating specials for the Japanese tourists. So you're injecting dollars into Los Angeles, and as well as going to the great Dodger Stadium to see Shohei. And he's just an animal, honestly. I just love watching him. And what's scary to think is he's our two-way player, too. He's just DHing. When he goes back to pitching, he's arguably a Cy Young type pitcher too. So great to see baseball kind of resurging. I love watching it now. I have the Major League Baseball package, and I think we can declare officially that as of today, April 1st, this is not an April 1st Fool's Day, the Colorado Rockies have been eliminated from the playoffs, as I said, at 1-3, and are just not a great product. They're a young team, but they need new ownership badly out here. The owners don't have the pockets that these other teams have, and they don't have a TV deal anymore. It's all streamed. It's produced by Major League Baseball. You have to buy them, and which really I think hurts revenues for them as well. But great to see baseball back. I'm here for it. I'm here for the changes. All right, final topic, and this will be quick. The Tottenham Hotspurs have just incredibly hard to be a fan of Tottenham this year. Premier League getting ready to start up for the final run-in. They're sitting 15th. I mean, they are put it this way, and we've talked about this, European soccer, the bottom three teams get relegated. So that's teams 18, 19, and 20. The Spurs are at 15th, so we're 3 away from that zone. They won't get there, but this is a top 6 team in Prem League. Top 6. They're the big 6. You've got Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man U, and Tottenham as the top 6. And just a horrible season, decimated by injuries. They're back now. It's not clicking with Ange right now at all. The only glimmer of hope we have is Europa, their Europa League, which they qualified for last year, coming in 5th in the table. We missed out on Champions League, but we qualified for Europa. We're in the semifinals here, and I think Ange has put all his baskets in. We need to win this cup. We need to win the Europa, which they better. Because if they don't win this, then it's more than likely the end of Ange. I think this project has, I feel bad because they have, at one point we had 7 starters out, 7 out of the starting lineup. It was just a brutal stretch for us. And they just never really have recovered from them. They went out in the other leagues that they've been competing in, Caribou and FA, they're already out. So literally everything is tied to Europa. And I think if he wins that, he's brought a cup back to Tottenham for the first time in a long, long time. That would probably save his job, and they may say, given the benefit of the doubt, and say, look, he did have a ton of injuries, and he was still able to produce Europa, which immediately gets you, if you're the champ of that, you're immediately back in the Champions League next year. But it's a tough stretch being them. I like Ange. I like his style. They are an exciting team to watch, but man, they're frustrating, and they need to really get on a little bit of a winning streak here. I don't think they have much to play for left in Prem League, obviously. It would be shocking if they reached the bottom 3, but I would really focus on, playing some of the younger players at this point and focus more on Europa. Like let Bergvall and Archie Gray play more, Spence, maybe even like a Mickey Moore, Scarlett, get those guys out there where possible. Especially if you're playing some of the bottom 3, whether it's a Southampton, Leicester City, or Ipswich Town. Let those guys get out there and perform and see what you got. But anyways, disappointing year for Tottenham. I'm learning quickly that I feel like this is the life of a Tottenham fan. If you like disappointment, become a Tottenham Hotspurs fan. Anyways. That's been episode number 2022 of the Sports File, a 35-year reboot. I'm your host, Sean Barkley. Please leave me a comment, a rating, a like, subscribe, wherever you listen to your podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.